So machine learning for me is like a magic. So since I first got kind of introduced to it, I kind of always kept fascinating by all the different applications, all the different kind of progress that we see from those amazing researchers everywhere in the universities or in the companies, as well as the passion and how many people are kind of talking about and how many people are getting into it. Even today, we saw that so many talks are about AI as well, directly or indirectly, right? And like I want to have for this presentation, I have like two goals, right? So first one is to kind of inspire you to maybe even if you don't use the machine learning currently for your product or in your organization, maybe some examples that I will show you will inspire you to kind of come up with something similar idea and use all this amazing kind of progress that we see in AI to kind of improve your business, basically. And the second goal is I want to kind of tell my story, my personal story, how I got into the field. And it's kind of a fun story. It's like an incident. And maybe people who want to get into the AI will kind of think about it and see and how they can get into the machine learning as well. So it all started with the accident, right? So this is not my X-ray, but it was quite similar. So I broke my leg, right? So it was really bad, painful, and it kind of took me a lot of time to recover from it. But at the time, I was working with for the organization, which was really kind of innovative and supportive for me. We were working on the projects which include technologies that was, and it's 2011, so it included things like Hadoop and all the big data and all the cool stuff that was there. But there was no machine learning, right? So I personally didn't know about it because my university didn't really taught me that topic. But what happened is that that time in November, like autumn 2011, first MOOCs, the massive online open courses, appeared. So there were 3 courses. One was about databases, and these 2 were the other 2. So there was AI class, which was about artificial intelligence, and ML class, which was about machine learning, right? And both of them from Stanford, I believe. So it was like, okay, let me check this out. Let's see what is this, right? So it sounds fascinating, interesting. So I took the courses, and I was mind blown, right? So I was like, okay, this is great. This is like closest thing I have seen to closest thing to the magic I know, right? So because all my mindset previously was about software, you explicitly program it, explicitly tell computer what to do. But now there is this techniques or set of techniques that kind of allows you to, tell computer, okay, this is kind of things I want to achieve. Go figure yourself out. And you know the story, right? You all know about machine learning now. Everybody's talking about it. So I learned about it, and then I kind of tried different companies here, but eventually I figured out that, okay, I need to go abroad. I want to get some experience working in big companies. So I moved to beautiful Dublin, Ireland, where one of the goals was to work for like big companies and get experience in the machine learning and data science, but also live abroad and experience living abroad in general. So I joined TripAdvisor in the personalization team of TripAdvisor. So TripAdvisor, it's a big like company that has a website that recommends, that kind of allows you to discover new hotels and restaurants. So you could imagine like how much data they collect, right? How much data they process, how much data there is in general. People interacting with different profiles of the hotels or restaurants, booking the restaurants, etc., right? So one of the biggest applications that was in TripAdvisor, which included the data science or machine learning, is recommendations, which is very obvious, right? So you go to the like you're researching hotels or restaurants, and you go to the profile page, and then you have this section below, which kind of recommends you other other kind of restaurants based on your interactions as well as all the other users' interactions on the website. So this was one of the main kind of areas that we were focusing in the personalization team. Again, this was very important, right? Another thing is reviews. So as you know, in some of the hotels or restaurants are so popular, they get so many reviews, like hundreds of thousands, even more, right? And there was this problem that you go to the some restaurant page and there's so many reviews you cannot read it, right? You cannot understand. You can just read like maybe some recent ones, but you cannot fully get the value from all the accumulated reviews that they exist on this page, right? So the idea was to create these buttons on the bottom. You say it's like extracting the things that reviews are talking about, right? Because sometimes when you go to the restaurant page, you are not interested in some aspect of it. Maybe you are interested in what kind of drinks they have, or what kind of service they have, or what kind of food, right? Or in case of like hotels, you might be interested in like views, right? So if hotel has a great view or not. So this was like idea to kind of group the reviews in a way that allows you to kind of choose the topic of the reviews, right? And this was done in a very smart way. It had lots of challenges in terms of scale. You can, like so many reviews again, you have to apply all this text analysis, natural language processing techniques to the super large scale, right? So it was challenging and kind of good experience. And again, like this is like, just to repeat my goal for this talk is that I want to give you examples of the projects that like I personally have worked on or with my teams, or currently we are working in the company that I work for, right? And with the idea that you might find it inspiring and apply to your product. So after TripAdvisor, I moved to this brilliant company called Zalando. This is the office in Dublin. This whole office was about data science and like using data to improve the product. So if you don't know, Zalando is a big European e-commerce company, mostly focusing on fashion. And there were so many different projects that involved data science there, but I want to focus on one. And I believe the talk after me is Pablo, who is in Zalando, and he'll talk more about how Zalando is using data science. But one of the projects that I was involved is, again, it's kind of unique in a way that it included kind of network data or graph data to get value from the graph data, right? So in this case, this project is called Crossdevice graph, where you have users and identifiers, different devices, and you want to connect them, and you want to connect them because you want to kind of analyze the users, not like devices, right? So we were using machine learning here to kind of connect these nodes in a smart way. And this is like cartoon representation of it. One of like small part of the actual visualization of this graph looked like this. I know it's really big, and it's like only small part of it. But this was reality. So many data points, so many users, so many nodes that it's challenging to work on this data set, this scale, right? But so there's this thing, right? So many organizations, like they don't really have dedicated, not just offices like Zalando for data science, right? They don't have dedicated teams, right? For the like machine learning team, right? Or data science team. But yet what happens is that Facebook or Google or OpenAI or somebody is coming up with this brilliant new technique that is amazing, and it could potentially change a lot of kind of businesses, right? And there is another thing, which is the gap in the skill, like demand and the availability of talent. Data science is, as you know, like one of the hot topics right now, which means there's like salaries are huge, and even though salaries are huge, there's still like lots of companies want to hire people. So there's this kind of gap for lots of companies. And one of the things that we believe at MaxinAI that we create as a value is we enable companies in different parts of the globe, but especially in US, to use machine learning techniques for their products and organizations in general. So this is MaxinAI, right? So we are like a group of people, I believe very talented people, engineers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, who work on different, like we work with different clients, and we create custom solutions for that uses machine learning and AI. Like my next slides will be projects that we have worked, and again, I hope you will find it inspiring. One of the things that I want to mention is that machine learning techniques can be classified in like different ways. So there's like computer vision, there's like deep learning, text analysis, traditional machine learning, etc., etc. But what's the most important thing, and I believe it was mentioned in one of the previous talks, is the domain knowledge, right? So in order to properly and most efficiently apply machine learning to your product or your organization, first thing is you have to understand the business, right? So the business understanding, domain knowledge is critical. After that comes the techniques and technologies, how you actually apply it. So this project, for instance, is about using computer vision, really well established techniques, especially after since maybe 3 years now that all these like convolutional neural networks became so popular and effective. This is like you applying these technologies to the food compliance. So there's a company which is a product where you can take a picture of the food packaging, and the algorithms will extract the data from it, like the name of the product, and most importantly, the contents of the product, right? So there is like fat content, for instance, carbohydrates, etc., and you want to kind of check, and they're like checking it against some table of like some database, and see and they're checking it how compliant it is, how safe it is, right? Or maybe it is compliant in one country and not compliant in another country. So this is like simple product, right? So you have like images, you extract information, data from it, and then you check against the database. Another like example is like, which is one of the things that is like mind-blowing, is you remember the CSI TV series when they were like enhancing videos? So this is happening in real life, right? So there's techniques in deep learning which allows you to basically increase the resolution of the image, which is like, yeah, super cool, I think. Medicine and biology, right? In this example, we created a solution where there is a digital picture of the microscope image, right? And then you apply, again, computer vision techniques to identify cells, detect if there is a pathologist there, right? So like pathologists, the doctors themselves, they have knowledge about how to identify if cell is I don't know, cancerous, for instance, right? Or if there's some problem in the image. So by showing like lots of examples, you can kind of use the machine learning to at least automatize it to some level. And then there's the gun detection, which is very obvious. Imagine public shootings, right? Terrible thing. Maybe this is a solution to help to avoid it at least to some level. So CCTV cameras monitoring public places and detecting if there's a gun, and then sending alert to the security. Car damage detection, a simple one. So you, instead of like people examining the cars by hand, you can take a picture and the computer will mark damage, right? So next one is, I think it's very interesting. Lots of companies have community pages, right? So they have some products or services, and the people who are using it go to their community pages to ask questions or complain about something. And this is like very valuable data, right? And not many companies, I believe, are using this data to get some insights about their products. So imagine there's this big company which releases new version of hardware, right? And suddenly lots of people are asking questions about what's wrong with this version, right? Or they have some particular problem for this specific hardware. If this community page is really big, like humans, it's hard to kind of keep track of it and see what kind of problems this version, or specific version of the hardware has. So the idea here is twofold, right? So first, to identify products. So it's called named entity recognition in the text, and then kind of classify this text, what kind of problem it is. And then you kind of summarize and you have like idea of what's happening in general. Or the next one, which is like, it's a grid, electric grid. How do you optimize the electric suppliers and like clients, right? I have to make it a bit faster, sorry. And there's like a company that is, or like bank that is kind of managing merger and acquisition of the companies. So how do you optimize that? There's lots of data that they have that they don't really use in a smart way, right? Or the next one, which is, you know, like in airplanes, you have the movies. Like somebody is putting those movies on the planes, but how they're choosing which movies to put there, right? So it's like surprisingly, it wasn't very it wasn't very analytical, so to say. And there is huge potential there to use past historical data to optimize and kind of personalize what kind of videos or TV shows you have on the planes. So if we go back to the problem of like talent and the gap between like demand and supply of the machine learning talent, one of the things that we think in Georgia is that it's very important to support the community. We actually have been I personally kind of have been doing this before even I joined the company because it was fun, and I'm going to talk about it a bit later. But one thing that we currently are doing at MaxinAI is this thing called School of AI, which is our head of AI, Levani, is teaching with help of other machine learning engineers, is teaching around 100 participants all the experience like that he has for the 6 months. And it's all free, and there's no obligations, nothing. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's like we are kind of supporting the community, right? Another thing is the meetups, which is like something that I'm very passionate about, which I became passionate in Dublin actually, because when I went to Dublin, it was like my first time living abroad, and I found meetups very kind of welcoming, and I made lots of friends from there. And then I kind of realized that it's actually really fun to organize meetups. So one day kind of I came to Georgia, and with my brilliant co-organizers, we kind of started this Data Science Tbilisi, which is now like this almost 1,500 members in the community. And we sometimes make meetups there. We have like Facebook group where we sometimes share some informations. So there's some kind of level of aspect of community, data community in Tbilisi, which is brilliant, I think. And last but not least, together with my organizers, we started this conference called Data Fest Tbilisi, which is annual 3-day conference about data, but not just data science, also open data, data in like public sector, data journalism, but of course about data science and machine learning as well. And actually in like quite soon, 2 weeks, there will be like 3rd edition of this conference, and you are all very welcome to come there. I think it's generally very friendly environment and fun to kind of join and hang out in the conference. And also, I believe some of you will learn some stuff there about data science and other aspects of the data.